Hi, I am Tara Bentley, and I'm the Executive Director for the Indiana Association of Home Educators, otherwise known as the IAHE.
Hi, I'm Cindy Briggs. I'm a homeschool mom and a volunteer with IAHE.
We're here bringing you this podcast to share with you a lot of great information about homeschooling here in Indiana. This will be a place to learn about homeschooling, find the support you need, all in the Hoosier State.
Each week, we're going to focus on a different topic in the homeschool world. We'll bring you special guests and information that's going to help you on your homeschool journey. So let's get started.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of the Homeschool Indiana podcast. It is Monday, March 25th. Welcome, Cindy.
Hello. And why is it important that it is Monday, March 25th? Let's explain that comment.
We are in recovery mode still from this year's annual conference. We both actually stayed at the hotel on Saturday night afterwards, crawled to my car basically on Sunday and came home, was home by noon and had my feet up. It was all I could do. And I took a 3-hour nap. I know you slept most of the day.
Yeah, I did, which will explain why. But I slept most of the time once I got, because getting home was hard for me because of what we're going to talk about. But so we are in full on, I don't even know if we're in recovery mode yet. We're one day out. We're still in just heads overwhelming time, right?
Yeah, my car's unloaded. So that's a step. Your car's unloaded.
Yes. Not by me, but yes, it was.
Not by you. And currently, as we speak, board president Steve Taylor, Penny Taylor, our conference coordinator, they have unloaded into a brand new storage unit. This is where we live. We're excited about a brand new storage unit. Y'all, I'm not Southern, but sometimes y'all slips out. So
yeah. And so I guess we need to explain to people the reason that we are doing this podcast today to go out this week, because normally we don't do them the same week that we are putting them out, but we wanted to do a conference wrap up as soon as possible so that it was all fresh and we could share with everybody whether you were there or not. So this is kind of us getting to give you the weekend recap.
And it was wonderful. It was amazing. It's so good to have so many families together, to be with like-minded people. I said I wasn't as present as I would like to have been because there was so much for me to do on the back end, in the back office, always so many details. But man, anytime you walk the hall and you saw families connecting with each other and, being in the morning keynotes and kicking off.
And people just laughing and enjoying. And, I know from the back end of when you're running these things, all of the issues. But then I kept reminding that to Tara and the team over the weekend, is that a lot of other people don't know those little issues, and so they were just having fun and they were just connecting and enjoying being with like-minded people, which I think was just so cool.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful to see the fun, people shopping, learning, taking notes. And obviously, for myself, I'm always making notes. I love to take notes because I really have the attitude of how can we do better? Always.
Absolutely.
Let's always improve. We have meetings after every big event. We call them live and learn meetings because that's our goal. We always want to do better. This year, we have a lot of notes about the venue. The venue was beautiful, but it was older and there were some issues, which we're not going to get into.
Those aren't even, but it even started out. Thursday night, we had a first as an event, the night before conference with the college and career fair, which even I was participating in it as telling people about entrepreneurship. And I didn't really know what to expect. And it was a great turnout. Standing room only.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. It was the first time we had such a great mix of exhibitors, colleges. You represented entrepreneurship. We had the Army. We had parents there answering questions about transcripts and college prep and Chick-fil-A. How can you go wrong?
I know it was all these things of what's next, next steps, or what other things can you look at, which kind of tied into one of my talks when I talked about college and career, which, I'm not promoting all my talks, but it was I brought that up in the fact that I know when I was younger, when I was in that teenage age, it just felt like there was either this path or this path. That was it, you know?
Right.
And now there's just so many more opportunities out there. And I think that's what that showcased on Thursday, was just all kind of the cool things that you could go do.
It
So
was
that started
wonderful.
out, I almost had no voice after Thursday. I was like, I
Yes.
still have to speak for 2 more days.
Yeah, so we started off, we did that starting at 6:30 on Thursday. And then
Mm.
in one of the other spaces in the ballroom, we had a homeschooling 101, a free informational night for parents. And we do that every year. It's wonderful. It's wonderful when you have families who like, they just want to check this out. They're not ready. Maybe their kid is still in public school. Maybe their kid's younger. I've had parents show up at a homeschool 101 who their child might be 2 years old and they just want to know what they're looking at down the road. And
I
so,
think we had a winner this time. I had somebody in one of my sessions, they were pregnant. They didn't have any other children and they came to the homeschool convention. And I'm like, that's pre-planning.
isn't
Like,
that
I'm
wonderful? Yes.
so excited.
There are those people. And I make this joke. I think you and I have talked about this at the very beginning. We're both the reluctant homeschoolers who started
Yes.
off in other ways, but when someone has the vision from early on, it's wonderful.
Yeah, so
So then we jumped in on Friday morning to the full conference, and we're going to share with you guys just some testimonials that people gave us. This won't be as long as some of our more recent podcasts, but we just really want to share some of the highlights and the wonderful things that people had to say. This year, we also brought back a teen program, which was really good. That was done in partnership with Sagamore Institute. And the kids loved it. You got to speak in there,
I
Cindy.
did get to speak at the teen program. I did a talk on leading yourself, so that you could lead others, and kind of based it on like atomic habits, that type of thing. And I mean, they were so engaged, and there were so many of them. I mean, we had like over 40 teens in that
Yeah.
program. I think closer to 50. And they just, yeah, they were just eating it up. I mean, just all this good information. So that was really fun to see them be connected in this world. And to see a group of homeschool teens come together is pretty powerful. It's just like the meeting of the minds there. It was great.
Absolutely. And a huge shout out to the team from Sagamore Institute because they did such a
Oh,
fabulous job. And if you
so
have a teenager who's interested in leadership in any sphere, and that was the theme for this weekend was leadership from any seat, because leadership occurs in all areas of life.
absolutely.
Sagamore does have teen camps and weekends and different things. So I encourage you to check out their website and we'll
We can
drop
put
that
that in their
in the
show
show notes.
notes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that people can do that. So we need to go ahead and just address it, because I know we're on video and we're still getting videos uploaded, but we just need to address the what happened on Friday that just became kind of a running joke, but kind of sad in the whole thing. And I'm starting out the conversation, because if I let Tara start it out, it becomes an entirely different like description of what happened.
We
But
may have different stories, very different stories of how
Friday
this happened.
morning, on Friday morning, we're getting ready for Heidi St. John. Everybody is so super excited. Myself and a couple other people were like in the front row for Heidi St. John, because I mean, love her. I was so glad to get to connect with her again. But it was a little warm in our conference rooms that day. Like, I mean, or the
It
weekend was.
absolutely, I did refer to it as I addressed everybody, my very first comments that we were going to call it the sauna.
The
That
sauna. It
morning,
was a little warm.
it was
And
warm.
so I got up because I thought, I'm getting a little warm. I need to go get some water. I forgot to bring some in with me. So I left the room to go find some water. And when I was coming back in, Heidi had just started speaking. So I wanted to come in the back of the ballroom. And I did come in the back. And as I came in the back of the room, I decided to face plant right there in the back of the room. And I mean, not like a graceful little like trip and fall. I mean, full on just fell to the ground where Tara happened to be standing, like at
Yes.
the point where I fell, and she had to pick me up and kind of carry me into our back room. And we were, laughing because I was like, okay, I fell. Everybody wanted to make sure I was okay. But as I was sitting there and we were making sure I was okay, my left hand and arm started to expand quickly.
Yes, it did.
We have people running to get ice. We have people running to get our friends who are nurses and doctors that are on our team. And like it looked like, I mean, all these people are running to me. And long story short, I ended up with a super bad sprain. They had to go get wrap and slings and all the things for this. So first session of the day. And I'm now with one hand.
With one hand. And, if you really want to hear my far more dramatic and entertaining version of the story, you'll have to ask me at some point. I'm not going to record it here because we don't have that much time. But the point is, Cindy, you carried on. You still did 4 sessions in the conference and 1 for the teens. And we appreciate that. We appreciate
got me
you
wrapped
carrying on.
and slung and ready to go. And we kind of made a little bit of a joke about it. I was like, Satan was not going to keep me down. I was going to rally and I was going to be there. And so anyway, so that was part of the little bit of humor, which then, everybody got to use the entire weekend about me not being able to walk.
Well, yes. So we just want to share some positive comments from you guys, from our Facebook group. And we appreciate anytime you guys give us good feedback. It doesn't have to all be positive. You can email us. Like I said, we know that there were some issues with the venue and it was beautiful. I got to tell you, it was a beautiful space, but it certainly was showing its age by the time we put all of these people into it.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. I know a lot of people are wondering about next year and we don't know yet. So just stay in touch. But let's share a couple of these comments. So Michelle C says, this was my first conference. I was so impressed. Well worth my time and money. Every session I attended was fantastic. I learned I need to save up more money to buy all the things in the vendor hall.
So true.
And she says, as a former public school teacher who has been to numerous conferences, this was by far the best I have attended.
Oh, so great. I love that she loved it. And I agree that saving up more money, because I know when you walk in, we had so many amazing vendors too. We didn't even say that, but different curriculum, different products, books. And I'm a book fanatic. And I actually only walked away with 2, which was good for me. But yeah, there's so many cool things.
And I think that, in today's world, especially, we buy so many things online post-pandemic. I mean, I was already a chronic online shopper before, but even more so now that we don't always buy on site the way that we used to, especially at events like this. But, in the long run, I have to say that to everybody in the future that, when you shop on site at an event like ours, you keep that event strong because that is what keeps the vendors coming back. So if you want a vendor to be there next year, if you can purchase from them on site, it's one of the best things.
It really does help as opposed to, looking at it there and then going and doing it online or something like that. It's absolutely. It encourages them. I think it just encourages them that people are liking their products.
Yeah. And so many of them have come from other parts of the country. They've traveled a long way. They've sacrificed a lot to be with us. So, okay.
And then, so let's see, we had one from Shelly Lawler, and she said a first timer. And I was too, Shelly. I was a first timer this year. So I am with you. New to homeschooling. This conference was everything. And she put that in caps. I learned about being involved in legislation to keep our freedoms, to teach our children at home as we see fit. I mean, she talked about seeing God's path for her journey. And I love, and Heidi St. John is my new idol. And those comments, which we all feel that way. We all feel that way, Shelly. So you're right on track with that. And she said it was great to meet Kylene, our friend Kylene, who does all of our legislative area, is the head of our legislative. So that was great.
Yes, I love when every year for a lot of people that, when you're first beginning and in the trenches, you only have the capacity for so much information. And it's really hard to be aware of all of the legislative issues when you're busy trying to homeschool 3 kids and find the best curriculum. But there comes a point in your journey where you're moving a little bit easier through life. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I should also be paying attention to this. Right. So that's important.
And if you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, I love legislation, or I like to know that kind of stuff. Always need volunteers. So always keep absolutely in your mind.
So Shelly also pointed out being touched by the words of Pollyanna, and Pollyanna is actually our own Nayland. Courtney,
Yes.
she
Who is
has
going to be on an upcoming episode. So be listening for
kids.
Courtney.
And
Yeah.
so, for those people who don't think that, they're not doing everything right, it's okay. She said, so
Oh,
Hannah, otherwise known as Courtney, help me see God's path for me in our new journey
yes.
and to find peace in
Yeah.
strength. I love that.
That's so cool.
So
Let's
we've got
see.
another shout out for Heidi St. John, of course, and the session on ADHD. Very
Yeah.
enlightening for a lot of families. I saw a lot of positive comments about that.
Right. And again, kind of to push other episodes, if you're kind of new to our podcast or you just heard about it at conference, we did an episode on special learners and how to kind of go through that with Stacy Morgan. So go back and find that one too. We want you to listen to all of them, but as we hit things, just want to bring them up.
Yes. And so then we have another comment from Kelly Kime, who says, I was glad my teens got to attend the leadership lab for teens. And even though I have already had 2 graduate, I found I learned new things about high school and transcripts I did not know. And
Oh, see?
that's true. I mean, there's still something to learn, even as long as you've been doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was telling my participants in all of my sessions, and next year it's like if we can get this out even to everybody. I said, when you go to conferences like this, and I've done this for years, gone to all the different conferences, you come over and your brain just feels full. And you sometimes you get back and you're like, oh, I don't know, or you try to implement everything all at once and it becomes overwhelming. I told everybody, I said, leave every session and write down just one thing from that session that you could apply or use, or you could, implement soon, just to give you kind of an action plan to get going. Because if not, it can be so much great information.
It really is. And I will say that, the other thing is that it's March. So for many of
Yes.
our people, like you're still in the spring, you still have a school year to finish. And so one of the things that I did when I was homeschooling, this was actually an idea from Cindy Rushton, if anyone's still familiar with her out there, but she talked about just taking the time in the summer, right? Like just find a quiet day where you can surround yourself with the catalogs, maybe the things that you accumulated or purchased here, and your notes. Just if
Yes.
you can't, you're not going to be able to think of everything right now, but your notes. But this summer, you set aside one day and with your notes, with your notebook, like what did I learn? And pray over what does God want you to use
Absolutely.
in this year.
Right. Because I think God will share that with you. I think it will come to you as you need it in the season that you need it.
Right.
What else do we have here? We have um somebody that said, first year homeschooler, first time attendee at the conference, and it was the exact thing I needed at the moment. Like I was just saying, I was feeling defeated and in the dumps about my homeschool journey the days prior to coming. However, after listening to Heidi St. John, who made me cry, and the encouragement shared by Joe and Z and Tyler on pulling in the same direction, and I can't forget Amber and the guidance on loving my children and your children, I left invigorated, uplifted, encouraged, and eager for next year. Last but not least, I love the presentation on executive function skills, as it made me examine myself and how I can be more patient with my children. All I can say is this was a great conference. Thank you for putting together a worthwhile event. Wow, that's a great one. I haven't even read through all of these, so these are kind of new to me too. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is
Well, and these,
amazing.
all of our speakers had positive comments. I just have to say, like, we're just reading,
Oh,
a
yeah,
handful here.
highlights. Yeah.
And we had rooms that were people sitting on the floor, which is really hard because we have to respect the fire code at the
Yeah,
same time.
exactly.
And we'll have to figure things out. This was the first time in this venue, as we've said, with this, but people couldn't get in some of the rooms, and for that we're really sorry. I guess that's what you get when you bring such amazing speakers to Indianapolis.
Yeah,
I know the
they were
marriage
so neat.
workshops were full, absolutely overflowing. Heidi's workshops. We appreciate Roger and Jan and everything that they shared personally about their marriage workshops. I was so excited to have Amber with us this year. Amber Johnson, if you haven't heard her, all of the recordings from our conference
From the conference.
will be available on our website. So if you missed out, you don't have to miss out completely. Those will be on our website in the next couple weeks.
Which
So,
is great because I even need to go back because as a speaker in several sessions, I mean, I didn't get to hear a lot of the things that as I was looking through the our program, like, oh my gosh, I want to hear that. And so, yeah, I'm going to go back and listen to the recordings
well,
because
and you have to, because even when you're there and in person, obviously you can only be in one
yes,
place at one time, and then you need to eat at some point.
at some point you do. Yes.
It is hard because you can't hear everything, and the schedule's not perfect for everybody, and we just try to give you as much content as we can, which is more than any one person can take in 2 days.
Absolutely, it is. It is. So it's good to have that you can do it. Who else did we have? What other things do we have here?
Well, we have just a couple more, and then we'll probably wrap it up because we told you guys we wouldn't go long.
Yeah, we are gonna go.
So we've got Sarah, who says after 10 years of homeschooling, it was her first conference.
Yes.
Absolutely loved everything Heidi says. She was full of bold truth, and it was
Mm,
encouraging.
yeah.
And she also gave a shout out to someone,
Oh, yeah. She said me. Oh,
Dr.
thanks, Sarah.
Cindy Briggs, chronic planning session.
Thank you.
Um, I think that
But Sarah, I do have to tell you, as the chronic planner, and Tara was
yes,
making fun of me before this started, I did not plan the injury. So see, my chronic planning, it didn't work out this well.
exactly. And I don't know about anyone else, but so I'm a Mac girl, Apple girl. So I have all of these reminders on my phone. And there were so many of them that I just had to make them stop, right?
Yes.
Going into conference. So I redated a lot of my reminders for Monday today at 11 a.m. So 11 a.m., like I'm not even done recovering. And all of these old reminders like, start popping
Popping
up.
in. So next year you need to know you need to spread those out over the week after conference. We
Spread
need
them
like
out. It's going to take me a little bit longer
yes,
to recover.
absolutely.
But I think what I love about all of these comments and the mix of them is that from first-time attendees to people who've been homeschooling for 10 years, and I'm going to share the last comment here before we
Yeah.
wrap it up. And so this is from our friend Rebecca West. Rebecca has been at our event for a really long time. She has spoke at our events before. She said, I think this was my 35th conference and the first one since COVID, and she
That's
loved it.
wild.
She said, I actually found several sessions that were relevant and interesting.
Oh, 35. Oh my gosh.
No, isn't that wonderful?
That's
And
so
I
great.
literally like, okay, so because we keep it real here, like those notifications going off as we're recording is from one of my team members with even more positive comments that are coming in. But we're
Yeah.
not going to go with like,
Yeah.
keep them coming, keep them coming.
And I think what
Obviously,
was cool also that we didn't say at the beginning was how I met so many people there that aren't homeschooling anymore, but they're like so supportive. They were either there volunteering or there because, their grandkids are being homeschooled, but they weren't doing this like day to day and they were still there supporting our conference, which I thought was amazing.
absolutely. We love our volunteers. We love our former volunteers who came back to help us make this event possible. And I want to give a shout out to the team. That's how we'll wrap this up. Just
Yes.
an amazing part for families, for Indiana families, to be a part of this event. And one of the final comments that came to me from our AV team that we bring in every year, and they come from another state, from a state out west. And he just wanted to let me know what an amazing team we have here in Indiana. And we really, really do. And I know it, and I say it all the time. But when you have somebody come in from a different state, from somewhere else, who works a lot of events across the country, we really do have the best team in the country. And so shout out to them. They made this all possible. And if you know an IHE volunteer, make sure you reach out and thank them for all that they did, the time that they sacrificed. They didn't get into all the sessions. They didn't get into probably any sessions, most of them.
Yes.
So they worked the
Yeah.
entire event, and we're so
And,
grateful for
and and to you, Tara, I mean, and I know you won't say that on yourself, but this got brought up one day at lunch, and that the team that you have kind of cultivated and developed and loved on, that this is what happens when you have a leader that does the right things that way, because then the volunteers and the people under you can go be their best selves and they do cool things. And so got a shout out to you too.
Well, okay. Okay, I'll receive it. Okay. But I will say I love our Indiana families. I'm not as in the trenches as many of our volunteers. So, if I love on our team and they get to love on their leaders and they get to love on their families,
Yep.
and that makes it easier for you as parents to love on your kids and do what is important because we believe homeschooling changes lives. Like that's the bottom line. Homeschooling changes lives. And as Christians, that's what we want. We want to be able to focus on our children, disciple our families, and we as an organization want to do everything we can to make that possible for you guys. That's our heart.
That's great. Well, thanks to everybody if you came to conference, thank you so much. If you didn't get to make it, remember we have recordings available that you can, in a couple of weeks, go to our website, check it out, and you can purchase those. And we just look forward to continuing our podcast. And so I hope you will come back again and listen to all of our amazing speakers.
Everyone have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.